All right, let's welcome Jon Read, everybody.
Is that good? I had never identified a body before, and the idea of doing so was a little bit unnerving. But when Bruce's brother called me and explained that he was in Florida and somebody had to identify the remains in order for the funeral proceedings to get underway, I said I would do it. And as I was walking over to First Avenue and 30th Street, the medical examiner's office, I was thinking, why did he call me? And the only thing I can come up with is that I must have been written on a piece of paper in Bruce's pocket. You know, this is 20 years ago. There were no cell phones. And then as I got near to the medical examiner's office, I had a very clear picture in my head of what was going to happen. I'd be led into a very interior room that would be cool. There would be a gurney with Bruce's body on it, covered in a sheet. And a man dressed all in white for some reason would be directly opposite me, and he would like very tactfully and gently pull back the sheet, and I would say, yes, that's him, and he'd put the sheet back, like Law and Order, right? Didn't happen at all like that. I went into this interior room, and immediately a door opposite me opened, and this very small woman came in carrying a very large 3-ring binder. She approached me and opened it, revealing a Polaroid of Bruce, which I thought was odd that I had to come in person to look at a photograph, and it was it was from the chest up, and there was like this blue bunting around his head. If you've ever seen those IKEA shopping bags that look like that kind of nylon-y, fiberglassy material, and it was the same color, so he basically had a blue nimbus, and I said, yes, that's him, and I called the brother, and from wherever the brother was in Florida, he took care of everything. I had nothing to do with Bruce or his family after that, which made absolute sense because Bruce and I were acquaintances at best. We knew each other because we were both fuck-ups. We both dropped out of college due to drugs and alcohol, never finished college, and we were both HIV positive. This is 20 years ago when that was a death sentence. So we knew each other from HIV support groups and from a program of recovery that I'm sure is a mystery to everyone. So we knew each other from those two places, and that's it. So it was all the more surprising to me when Bruce called me one weekend from a psych ward and asked me to visit, which I did. And it turns out he had gone out on a bender for a few days doing crack and drinking, checked himself into a psych ward, and then called me. And he did this 2 more times over the course of like a month and a half. And the third time was St. Luke's Roosevelt on 59th Street and 10th Avenue. And I went to visit him, and I sat with him in this kind of communal dining area. He was eating this very unpleasant-looking kind of Salisbury steak with a gravy with skin on it, and he completely ignored me when I sat down, which was pissing me off. And then again I said, "Hey, how are you, Bruce?" Ignored me. He was just shoving into his face this food, and then he just kind of threw down the fork and said, "This food sucks, and these doctors don't know what the hell they're doing. They're in it for the money. I want to get out of this place. I want to be discharged now." And I said, "Listen, Bruce, we've done this 3 times now. You know that you can't just sign a paper and leave. You sign a paper and they assess you, and they determine when they think it's okay to let you go. So you have a day, maybe 2, possibly 3, before you get out of this place. So what do you want to do with that time? Do you want to see if there's maybe something here that can be of help to you so you'll leave a little closer to the life you say you want, or do you really want to spend the time complaining about the food and bitching about the doctors?" And I'll never forget what he said because I was just so startled by it. He said, verbatim, "I just want to complain." I felt it all coming up. My heart started racing. I started feeling hot. My face flushed. I'm sure I was beet red, and it was coming out before I could stop it. And I said, "Well, you know what, Bruce? This is getting fucking old really goddamn fast. You have to figure out what the hell you're going to do with your life. But for now, I'm leaving." And I left. I was surprised that had come out. I was shaking. He was calm as a cucumber. Didn't affect him at all. So I left. And 2 days later, they discharged him. And he went home and he jumped out of his 9th floor apartment. Hence the bunting, it was to disguise, Now, life has gone on. Life has gone on for me. My health is better now than it ever has been. I have more T cells than I did when I was diagnosed. After 28 years, I finally finished that bachelor's degree. And the end of last month, I got a master's degree in social work. The date... Friday was my 48th birthday. And on the 30th of this month, I'll have 15 years of sobriety. And I say all that because I'm just painfully aware that none of this applies to him. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know why I made it and he didn't, But I do know, looking back, I see very clearly the red flags he threw up, He called me on those weekends because I was the only person he could call. His brother called me. I was the only name in his pocket. He wasn't being rude and obstinate and mean-spirited to me. He had resigned. He had made a decision, and he was in the calmness of that decision. So when I said, you need to figure out what the fuck you're going to do with your life, I was preaching to the converted. He knew, I learned a lot from him. And now I work with people with terminal illness, providing emotional support in an organization founded by Mike Nichols. And I use what I learned from Bruce every single day of the week. When I feel that kind of stuff coming up in me, I say, whoa, something might be going on here. Look for the red flag. Keep your cool. And for that, I will be grateful to him until the day I die.